Brian Haney is here, as is Jeff Campbell. Jeff Campbell was radio man and crew chief on the U9 in 2018 when Andrew Tate was victorious in that greatest final heat of all time with Andrew Tate and Jimmy Shane. Jeff Campbell was the brains behind that one. He is here talking to H1 officials. Not quite sure what the holdup is here right now. We do have a green flag on the race course. I believe we are awaiting the arrival of a radio man, radio personnel here for the U40, which would certainly indicate that no, they are not going to be a scratch. They're going to try and run. But we also won't wait too long. I believe the 9 is in the water and ready to go. Okay, we do have it official now. The 40 will not be coming out. Next, it will be the U9. The U9 with Corey Peabody will be the driver of Pinnacle Peak Consulting. The boat based out of Auburn, Washington, driven by Corey Peabody. Corey, 42 years of age, out of the Pacific Northwest. Here's a little piece of trivia for you. The teammate and driver of Corey Peabody driving the 8 is J. Michael Kelly. J. Michael Kelly is 42 years of age. So is Corey Peabody. They went to kindergarten, grade school, junior high, and high school together. They have been friends their entire life, and now they find themselves driving 2 of the fastest H1 unlimited hydroplanes on the planet. I mentioned during the test session that Corey Peabody has been driving in what we call Region 10. It is a geographic district of the American Powerboat Association. That's where I met Corey a number of years ago. He drove a little 1-liter hydroplane, boat number 5, the Fast Tracks, and the kid was something special. And we always talked about maybe getting the call and being able to step up here to the big boats. He got that call last year, drove for Rob Graham. And I got to step away from the microphone here for just one moment. I will be right back. Sincere apologies for having to step away there. I had a very dear friend show up unexpectedly. I didn't know. Corey Peabody on a clock, driving a 9, Pinnacle Peak Consulting. As I said, Corey, grade school classmate of J. Michael Kelly. Now they find themselves driving for Daryl and Vanessa Strong. Corey is on the clock. This is lap number 1. This boat, I mentioned it earlier this morning if you missed it, this boat was the winner here in 2018. Andrew Tate was behind the wheel. If you saw that final heat in 2018 between Andrew Tate and Jimmy Shane, you will never, ever forget it. It was that good. But now it's Corey Peabody. The boat is no longer white and fluorescent yellow and orange. It is black, it is silver, and it is still very, very fast. Top end of the race course, you see Corey slide out to about lane number 4. We'll get a first lap speed here for Corey Peabody, driving a 9, Pinnacle Peak Consulting. We got one in the books. It only takes one to qualify. We've got one qualifier already. That is his teammate. Turned the lap at 156.8 miles an hour. 156.8 miles an hour for Corey. As did teammate J. Michael Kelly. Corey Peabody getting an absolutely gorgeous boat ride up the backstretch. Water conditions here virtually perfect. Corey sets it up at the top end of the race course. Here comes Corey to put the second one in the books. Beautiful looking hydroplane. Getting an outstanding boat ride. Turned that lap at 157.844 miles an hour. 157. That puts him a 1/10 of a mile an hour behind teammate J. Michael Kelly. Has he got another 1/10? Will we see our first 158 or maybe even a 159? Corey solid through the top end of the race course. Now watch his line through the corner. How far does he slide it out? He goes out about lane 2, maybe lane 2.5. He will come down. The checkered flag flies. It is Corey Peabody. Daryl and Vanessa Strong, your 2 boats are qualified for the 2021 Hydrofest, the race for the Southern Cup. Corey Peabody puts it in the book. Could he top the 158 mark? 158.6 miles an hour. So he eclipses J. Michael Kelly. So how about that? Some good competition between the 8 and the 9, the 2 teammates. So, a couple very, very solid laps by 2 of our 2 boats that are owned by Daryl and Vanessa Strong, the brand new race team in H1 Unlimited Racing, Strong Racing. Daryl and Vanessa, as I mentioned, are out of the Tri-Cities. He was so excited to get down here. He and wife Vanessa came down here in the motorhome, and they stopped along the way. They did some sightseeing. We even ran into them on the way on our drive down here. It was kind of fun to see hydroplanes on the road traveling through Montana. But it's good to get them on the water, qualified. Boats look very, very solid. We're monitoring the radio to see if by chance the 40's going to come, but nope, it does not look. They're going to have to come after everyone else. So we will go down to the next boat on the ladder. Next up on our list is the U11, the J&Ds. We are not sure if they are going to come out. They had some issues after their test session. So we'll just have to wait and see. If it's not the 11 that comes next, it would be the U12. It'll be the J&Ds with it'll be the U12, the Graham Trucking with Andrew Tate. Well, race fans, after a little bit of confusion there and a very interesting discussion about the corral, which is the area the radio people are supposed to stand in when their boat is on the water, we've got things squared away right now. Jimmy Shane on the radio to Jeff Bernard. Jimmy Shane is in the newly defined corral up here. And up the backstretch, we have Jeff Bernard driving the U1, the Miss Home Street. A boat that Jimmy Shane knows all too well. A boat that Jeff Bernard knows very, very well. This boat raced on the 2019 circuit as the Oberto Super Salami. It was Jeff Bernard behind the wheel in Tri-Cities and Seattle. This boat, as I mentioned earlier, is extremely accomplished. 8 National High Points Championships, 3 Gold Cups. Home Street, Miss Home Street, the U1. For the 2021 season, about running in the black and gold color scheme of Goodman Real Estate, but the boat is officially Miss Home Street. The number is U1. It is the defending National High Points champion. Up the backstretch, Jeff Bernard. An absolutely gorgeous boat ride once again. As I said before, the water conditions are outstanding. Jeff, a very, very accomplished driver. He has driven literally every class of race boat you can imagine. We have 2 of our GPA Grand Prix America hydroplanes, the guys that are really loud with the big blown high cubic inch automotive engines. We have 2 of those boats in the pit area. Jeff Bernard will be coming out later in the day and testing one of those boats. As Bernard comes down, picks up a green flag, first one is in the books with a Miss Home Street. Perfect boat ride. $152.666. 152.666. Trust me, that boat has a lot more in it than just that. Jimmy's already up at the top end of the race course. Our race course is 2.5 miles around. And an interesting distinction for you fans that may not be aware of this, we have a 2.5 mile race course here. We also have a 2.5 mile course at Indianapolis, at the Indianapolis 500. That's a 2.5 mile track as well. But they measure that 2.5 miles in the groove. We'll get Jimmy across here and get his speed before we finish that short discussion. First lap was 152 and a 666. $154.091. 154.091. So they measure the 2.5 miles at the Indianapolis 500 in the groove. So if a car stays in the groove and turns his lap at a given average speed, he is traveling actually 2.5 miles. Our race course out here is also 2.5 miles. However, we measure the 2.5 miles at the very top tip of each of the buoys. So 2.5 miles on the buoy row. Obviously, you can't run into the buoys, so Jeff Bernard driving more than 2.5 miles. Bernard's got it in the books. 3 up, 3 down, the U1 Miss Home Street. So when we give his speed, we don't know exactly what he averaged, but we do know it would be something in excess of whatever we stated because he went further than 2.5 miles. It was his fastest of the 3 laps, 154.339. 154.339 miles an hour for Jeff Bernard in the Miss Home Street, the U1. So we've had 3 boats come out on the race course so far. We've had 3 boats successfully qualify for the 2021 Race for the Southern Cup, the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest in our H1 Unlimited class. Recapping our qualifying of those 3 boats, our fastest lap so far was Pinnacle Peak Consulting, the U9, Corey Peabody, with a hot lap of 158.623 miles per hour. Teammate J. Michael Kelly in the U8, the Miss Tri-Cities, was right behind him at 157.930. So less than a mile an hour behind was J. Michael Kelly. And then Jeff Bernard was just out in the home street, the U1. His fast lap, the 3rd fastest so far today, 154.339. So Corey Peabody at 158, JMK at 157, Jeff Bernard at a 154. Waiting for our next boat. We are in the middle of our first session of qualifying here for the 2021 Lake Guntersville Hydrofest, the race for the Southern Cup. We've had 3 boats hit the water. We've had 3 very solid times. and we are awaiting our fourth boat on the water. We are understanding here that part of the holdup is with the cranes over on the other side, because there are only a couple of cranes over there. There are a number of boats, and they're picking one out at the same time, needing to put another one in. As soon as we get a boat in the water and ready, we will bring it out to qualify. I rudely interrupted my discussion on the broadcast because I came back and said that I had been joined by a very special friend here on the broadcast, and I'm going to bring him in now. This guy, I'll tell you what, if you've ever listened to hydroplane racing on the PA, you ever went up to Detroit and listened to the Gold Cup, you ever go to Madison, Indiana, and watch the boat racing up there, you know the name Jeff Ayler. And Jeff is here. Jeff, welcome to Guntersville, Alabama, my friend.
Brad, good morning. What a venue.
I kept telling you this was awesome.
Lake Guntersville, dynamic venue for H1 Unlimited hydroplane racing. Of course, we had the 2 Grand Prix America boats here, and I'm ready. Crank them up.
Crank them up. You all know Jeff Ayler. That's his signature line. Regardless of the class, we're going to crank it up. You got here this morning. You've never been here before. You just touched on it, but isn't this something? What a beautiful course.
Gorgeous. Long chutes. The turns aren't as large by the naked eye. They're a little tighter than I thought visually, but dynamite water. You expect some hot action this weekend. Brad, on my sheet coming down, I've got 4 drivers that can win this Southern Cup. It's that tight.
It really is that tight, and you're looking right out in front of us here at the start-finish line. Close to shore. Great viewing for the fans.
Just like next week at Madison, they're close to the shore as well.
And Jeff Ayler will be on the pipes on the PA up there in Madison, Indiana for the Gold Cup. Talk a little bit about what's going on up there in Madison and what you're doing to get ready. I know you got big festivities coming up on Thursday.
Big weekend in Madison coming up next weekend on the Ohio River. Thursday evening, the gala by the Madison Regatta. We're celebrating 70 years of Madison Regatta in the modern era for the Indiana Governor's Cup. 60 years of Miss Madison Incorporated Racing, and 50 years to the dot. July 4th, 1971 is when the hometown Miss Madison won on home waters with Jim McCormick. 70, 60, and 50. Do you know when the first ever boat race was ever held in Madison? What year?
I do not know. You're going to tell me.
1911. Same year as the first Indianapolis 500, won by Ray Haroon.
Ray Haroon. And that would be how many years ago?
110. And I was not there.
Oh, my goodness. And that race, the only thing you missed there on that one, I think, when did the movie come out? Did it come out in 2001?
The movie was filmed in 1999. Many of the scenes filmed in Madison, Indiana. Some scenes in Long Beach, California for the Miami race that was on the schedule that year. The movie was released in 2005 in various locations across the United States, and we'll be showing that movie Wednesday evening, Regatta Week, at Bicentennial Park. That's free to the public and part of Madison Regatta's festivities next weekend up in Indiana.
Who's hosting that big gala on Thursday night?
Well, Nate Davis is our host. Nate has been involved with Madison Regatta for 47 years. Nate is a 2-time president of Madison Regatta, and he's worn about every hat in the organization. This was Nate's vision, and we're going to have a celebration next weekend in Madison, Indiana.
You're going to be a big part of it, too.
Yeah.
That's all we're getting out of Jeff, the man of a million words. All we get was, yep. Jeff, you and I have had the good fortune to call many a Gold Cup race together. We spent many years together in Detroit. I know those were some of the very best times we ever had sharing a microphone up in Detroit.
Oh, exactly, Brad. Detroit puts on a great race. And speaking of Gold Cups, we have it in Madison next weekend. Dave Villock makes his return to the H1 Unlimited Series here at Lake Guntersville. Next weekend, could he tie Chip Hanauer all-time with 11 wins? That's the only thing left on his resume to be at the top of the heap.
That's it. He's got 10 Gold Cups. Hanauer's got 11. If he can get him, they will tie. But there's another aspect to that. There's a kid named Shane that's around here somewhere. He's got 4 of those Gold Cups to his name. If he were to win, driving a boat from Madison, Indiana, on the 50-year anniversary of Jim McCormick's win in '71, he would get his 5th Gold Cup, and he would tie the legendary Garwood.
Garwood, the first superstar of the sport, based out of Detroit, Michigan. Shane looking for his 5th. J. Michael Kelly here this weekend looking for his 2nd Gold Cup next weekend. Andrew Tate as well looking for his 2nd Gold Cup win next weekend in Madison. So 4 of the 7 drivers already have their name on the oldest active motorsports trophy in the world, as you say it, the Gold Cup.
The APBA Gold Cup, and that's my favorite line, the oldest active motorsports trophy in the world. First contested in 1904, contested the 2nd time later on the same year in 1904 again.
And you know the boat name better than I do, so give it a whirl.
That would be the 21. The 21, I believe that's French for 21, but I'm going back to 7th grade on that one, Jeff. I don't know. Our fans, they're probably over visiting the vendors, getting some food going. Who are those 2 guys? Unplug them. Jeff, you and I could sit here and talk for about an hour, but when we get one of the boats on the water, I want you to come back over here on the pipes and let's talk a little more. This is a great treat having you in Guntersville.
Well, thank you, Brad. It's great seeing you, and I think the story of this whole season, I shook his hand this morning. I said, welcome back. I'm all for it. 67 years old, Dave Villock in the Beacon Plumbing. If he wins one, he'll go to 68. What an amazing story this would be if he can win a race this year on the series at 67.
I asked him if he still got it. He just smiled.
He's got it.
He's got it. I also asked him last night a question I told him at the test session in Tri-Cities. I said, I'm going to ask you outright why you came back and why this was the right opportunity, the right boat, why it was the right time for him to come back. And he talked about Kelly Stockland coming on board with him and Miss Budweiser Racing and helping with the propellers. And he said, Kelly came right out and helped with our propeller program. Kelly called me and wanted some help. I showed up. It's what we do.
And also, too, the short word, F-U-N, fun.
And that's a word that's coming out of Dave's mouth a lot these days, is fun. People and fun. And every time I interview him, I say, you having fun? He goes, oh, yeah.
It's going to be interesting. And J. Michael Kelly, that Miss Tri-Cities, Daryl and Vanessa Strong, rocket ship right out of the box. You saw it back in Tri-Cities and testing June 4th. Did my handicapping coming down? They're going to be tough to get around.
They are going to be tough to get around. You and I saw that boat with Mr. Theoret down at the Belle Isle Bridge turn, which I think, what's the other name for that Belle Isle Bridge turn?
That's the big left-hand sweeper.
Oh, God, they must think we're nuts. Fans, we're still waiting to get a couple of boats out here and qualify. Jeff, thanks for coming by. You're not done. I'm going to pick up the mic and get you back on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Ayler, ladies and gentlemen. He is truly synonymous with H1 Unlimited Racing, especially in Madison, Indiana. Well, I figured if I talked to Jeff long enough, we'd have a boat out on the water, but apparently that didn't happen. It's the Rikers Ridge curse. So I'm going to tune it back to the guys in the studio, and we will get some music going. And as soon as we have a boat out on the water, we will come back out here for qualifying. It is the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest 2021, the race for the Southern Cup. So we have another boat on the water for a qualification attempt here. I am told it is the U40. The Beacon Plumbing, Dave Villock. You just heard Jeff Ayler talking about 67-year-old Dave Villock, the winningest driver in the history of H1 Unlimited. He's got 67 victories. Love to get another one today. Mr. Duncan, how are you?
I'm awesome.
Good to have you here. Kirk Duncan from the Hydro News here today. I caught him with a mouthful and shook his hand and said hello and stuck the mic in front of him. Up the backstretch. Slowly. Again, remember, he gets 3 laps if he wants all 3, doesn't have to. But he's got 3 laps. He will come down. There is a green flag waiting for him. That means he is good to go, and he'll start his first lap. Then he'll get another green. That means he can start the second lap. Then he'll get a white one which says start the final lap. 67 wins, 67 years old. Been away from the seat for 6 years, but here he comes, Dave Villock. Driving a 40 that he can play. Well, for those of you who just watched him roll down into that lower corner, you saw that right side sponson pick up. He had some air underneath it. That means he's really got it up and running, but it's also right on the ragged edge. Dave Villock, we always said for many, many years he was the best flyer in an unlimited hydroplane that we had ever seen. One of the most knowledgeable people in the sport of boat racing. I'm not going to say hydroplane racing because he can set up anytime, anywhere, for any water. Jeff Ayler, this guy, it's more than just hydroplanes. He can set up your car.
Exactly, Brad. And Dave comes off the corner in this massive unlimited hydroplane, 28-foot length, 14-foot wide, 6,700 pounds of racing vessel right in front of you. And we'll get a lap time.
We'll get a first lap speed here. Dave Villock in the 40. The Beacon Plumbing. All the work in the off-season. He's really light on that right sponson. One more time. We'll get a speed here on lap 1. That'll wake up everybody on the beach. 159 miles an hour. There's your fast lap of the day so far, and that's his first one. What? Correction. We got a wrong number. 154. That's a minor detail. It's only 5 off. Coming out to put 2 in the books. We'll be very careful about the speed this time. We got some misinformation. Dave gets a white flag that time. He will start his 3rd lap. Boy, he is just picking up the right side. He is really light getting into that lower corner. Man. Boat is really moving.
40 lap 2, 155.252.
Second lap, we think this is official 155, 155 miles an hour. He woke up everybody in Guntersville when we announced that 159, but it turned out to be an error. It was a 154. We'll get this one. Lap number 3. Checkered flag waits. Dave Villock. A lot of air underneath that U40. Jeff Ayler, we talked for years that this guy can fly a hydroplane, and he apparently hasn't lost that knack.
I've watched these since 1971. First time out since we were canceled last year, unfortunately, through the pandemic. And he's back. Dynamite driving, way to climb, and I hope we have some still photographers down there in turn 1. Should be in some incredible shots. That right sponson hanging just off the water. Beautiful boat ride. It's getting serious.
We are getting serious, Jeff Ayler. Let's see what we've got for a speed. The 3rd lap was indeed the fastest, 156.475. 156.475. Well, that was kind of fun. I think we ought to do that again. Throw some fuel in that one. Let's run them again.
Hey, but it's working, I guess. Yeah, love your corral.
11 is hitting the water right now.
It's the best.
Well, welcome to H1.
Copy that.
11. And 18. Making a comment. Yeah, now Darryl Strong's got 2 boats there. He's the owner, I guess. He's the one I ran into.
Okay, Bob. There we go.
Yes, will you select down on my lap so I can get the speed? Just select down. Nope. Nope. Select down. It's okay. Can I do an interview?
Sure.
Okay. Right here. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. How did the boat feel out there?
Both felt great. Water was good. You know, we had a good opportunity. We'll see how what the information says, and try to run a little faster.
Are there any changes you anticipate making to the boat?
Yeah, of course. Every time, we always change something every time. So, so far so good.
How is the course out there?
It's good. Good. Water's good. You know, couldn't ask for anything better.
Thank you, Dave.
right off the bat. Right. Okay, ready to go. Master on, fuel pump on, igniter's on, that's on, bud.
Yeah, bring me the sheet.
I'm guessing it's got something written on the side of it.
Brad? Hey, Brad, send your producer, man. We're tired of it. We're tired of talking to you. I don't think I'm real.
Back out on the race course for a qualification attempt here is the U11, the J&Ds with Jamie Nielsen behind the wheel. Jamie came out this morning and ran some laps. And then unfortunately the boat went down toward the lower end of the race course, lost power, and had to get towed back. There were some questions about maybe some other issues. Jamie's going very slowly down the front straightaway.
Okay. All right. Oh, he's over there? Oh, I wanted to make him look bad.
Keeping an eye on him, he may be heading it right back home.
3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm watching the boat, and I'm watching boat owner Scott Rainey is also here. I'm watching him. He is talking to his driver, but it looks like Jamie's going to head it back home. Yeah, that does not look good. He is not going to make it. He's going to have to find his way back. Hopefully he can get back under his own power, but he is not going to. I don't think that's in the cards either. So unfortunately, another tough break for the 11. The J&Ds after all of that work.
You need a tow?
Yes.
Yeah, tell one, go get him. Tell one, go get him. Hey, Rick? Rick? So for 15 laps, you have to count all of the numbers there, not just Evan. 10 over 130. Oh, no. No, really?
It's my
Let me go
fault.
back to the original line. Send the producer.
That's absolutely right. You'll, well, no, you won't.
Don't. Careful.
We didn't have that problem with that 3-year-old girl that was
Why is that so funny?
because they laughed.
don't just play big buck hunt, we hunt actual big bucks. And out here, the best road is off-road, and the color of your truck is mud. Out here, it's dew.
I'm Sherry Newman, Executive Assistant at Sanmina Corporation. I've had a successful 36-year career with the company in positions ranging from administration to customer service, program management, and finance. At Sanmina, you get the opportunity to learn all of the disciplines involved in contract manufacturing at one of the largest electronics manufacturers in the world. I've always been able to enhance my knowledge and skills and advance my career goals here. I'm privileged to have witnessed Sanmina's amazing growth over the years, and I'm looking forward to helping mentor the future workforce. I'm proud to call Sanmina my company. To start your career at Sanmina, go to sanmina.com/careers.
The WQSB Hydrofest Radio Network, provided to you by Seller Studios and Nesbitt Events.
Hey, race fans! Come and get your Hydrofest merchandise today under the Mosley Monogram tent at start finish.
You're listening to the WQSB Hydrofest Radio Network. Thanks for visiting beautiful Lake Guntersville.
Hello again, race fans. We are in the middle of our H1 Unlimited qualifying session. I am told Corey Peabody in the U9 is coming away from the dock. We'll have him out here on the race course for his second run on the clock. Corey, in his earlier run, had a fast lap of 158.623 miles an hour. Right now, he is our top qualifier. That's Corey Peabody driving the Pinnacle Peak Consulting Out of the Tri-Cities, it is the U9. He is Corey Peabody, and I see the boat coming away from the dock over there. As he makes his way across Lake Guntersville, it gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit about our schedule for the rest of the afternoon. This H1 Unlimited qualifying session we are in will go until 1 o'clock, after which at 1 and until 1:30 we'll have our opening ceremonies. Then at 1:30 we're going to have our Grand Prix America testing. I mentioned earlier we have 2 Grand Prix hydroplanes here. They are going to come out on the water and test. That will happen at 1:30. Also at 1:30 at the start-finish line, right behind the start-finish line, you will see a very, very large red and white tent. We will have an autograph session for the Powerboat National Series. Autograph session at 1:30 until 2:30. It will be at the start-finish line. I am going to step away from the mic for just one moment. I'll be right back with Corey Peabody and the U9. Speed for Corey Peabody on his second lap here was, or his first lap was 156.260. Sorry, I had to step away there for just a moment. Was going through the schedule here for the rest of the day. I'm going to finish that conversation here very quickly, and I will be right back with lap 2 for Corey Peabody. In the books for Corey Peabody. We'll get a speed here on lap number 2. First one was 156. This one stepped it up just a little bit. He's at 157.370. 157.3. Fast lap was lap 3 in the first session at 158. As he got a little bit more. Again, this boat was the U9, driven by Andrew Tate in 2018. He was the Southern Cup champion in 2018. And I know you're tired of hearing me say it, but it was winning the final heat, the greatest final heat of H1 Unlimited racing history. Here comes Corey, 42 years old, out of Kent, Washington. Living a dream, driving a 9 for Daryl and Vanessa Strong. Pinnacle Peak Consulting, Corey Peabody. Monitoring here, getting his third lap.
Heavy Dawn, is that you?
Faster than the other two, but only by a tick. This time at 157, 157.629. So his fast lap remains lap 3 from his first time out, 158.623. Corey Peabody, mighty solid driving that 9 Pinnacle Peak. Grand Prix America testing session will take place from 1 to 2:30. At that same time, from 1:30 to 2:30, the Powerboat National Tunnelboat Series will have their autograph session. That is going to happen again from 1:30 to 2:30. It is right behind the official tower on start-finish line. Right behind the official tower, you'll see a main stage. Right behind that stage, you will see a large red and white tent awning with some tables and chairs in there. That is where the autograph session will take place. Then we're going to go racing. We're going to go racing at 2:30 until 3 o'clock with Guntersville Chevrolet Hydrocross Heat 1A, and that's going to take place at 2:30. Then at 3 o'clock, it is the Redstone Federal Credit Union H1 Unlimited Heat 1A. That'll be our first racing with the H1 Unlimiteds. It'll be Heat 1A presented by Redstone Federal Credit Union. That will take place at 3 o'clock. And we've waited all day for that heat, but in essence, we've waited 21 months for that heat, and so we are ready to go. H1 Unlimited Racing, Heat 1A, presented by Redstone Federal Credit Union at 3 o'clock. Then at 3:30 and until 4 o'clock, Guntersville Chevrolet Powerboat Heat 1A. The Pro Tunnel boats will be out here. They will be out here at 3:30. Powerboat Heat 1A. Then at 4 o'clock, the H1 Unlimiteds are back on the water. Redstone Federal Credit Union H1 Unlimited Heat 1B. The boats that don't run in 1A will come out and run in 1B. That will be at 4 o'clock. Then it is the Guntersville Chevrolet Pro Tunnel 1 Powerboat Heat 1B, followed at 5 o'clock by the Restoration Homes of North Alabama Hydrocross Heat 1B. So a full afternoon of racing. Coming up here this afternoon, we're going to have all classes of boats on the water. We are going to be racing. We got opening ceremonies. We've got events coming up at the local theater here in town, the whole backstage theater. So lots going on at the 2021 Guntersville Hydrofest, the race for the Southern Cup. Speaking of H1 Unlimiteds, we've got them on the water. Coming down the front straightaway here, it is Chuck Bernard driving the line. The best home straight. Definitely got a little bit more air under the boat this time. Looking for a little bit faster speed. We'll check Jeff's time from the first session. He had a fast lap of 154.3. He will be looking to improve upon it. It is Jeff Bernard out of Covington, Washington. He and wife Christabel and the kids are all here enjoying some Southern hospitality here in Guntersville, Alabama, in an absolutely gorgeous setting. Top end of the race course. Jeff Bernard. So what lane he wants to come out to. He's going out to about lane number 3, maybe 2.5, 3. He can use any part of the race course he wants when he's qualified. He's got it wound up pretty good, walking back and forth just a little bit. He's got it underneath the boat. Bouncing that right spots and back and forth. Every time he taps the water, he loses a little bit of speed. He's looking to improve on a 154 that he did earlier. He's not going to get it done with that one. A first lap speed of 150.398. So 150 miles an hour for Jeff Bernard in that one. Top end of the race course, here comes Jeff. He will come down, look to his right, see a white flag, have one more lap to go. Still trying to improve on that 154. Much better boat ride that time down the front straightaway for Jeff Bernard. Jeff got that lap at 151 miles an hour. If you wonder how capable this particular hull is, it is tied for Bill Muncie's Atlas Van Lines Blue Blaster as the 4th winningest hull of all time. 24 race wins, as I said earlier, including 3 Gold Cups and 8 National High Points Championships. racing boats at age 9. His first unlimited ride was at the 2005 Seattle Seafair. He drove for Fred Leland in the U99. Chuck Bernard, lap 3 in the books. So Jeff was able to eke out there
on lap number 3.
He jumped that one up almost 5 miles an hour to 156.052. He eclipsed his previous hot lap of 154.339. So a very good run there for Jeff Bernard on his third lap of qualifying here in the second go-around. Just checking the ladder to see if that moved him up. It did not. He improved a couple of miles an hour, but he's at 156.0. Dave Villock is at 156.4, so Dave is just a tick ahead of him in a 40, the Beacon Plumbing. But those votes are very closely matched, and we've said this in the off-season and coming down here, getting ready for this race for the Southern Cup. Our H1 Unlimited field is very closely grouped and very competitive. This is anybody's race. You heard Jeff Ayler say a little bit earlier, he's got 4 boats that can win this. I actually might have a 5th in there. Either way, it speaks to the competitive nature. And Jeff had just corrected me and said, no, I didn't say 4, I said 5. So my apologies, Mr. Ayler, sir. So monitoring the official radio, just keeping an eye on what might be coming up next, or maybe not so much what, but maybe who. We have only had, in the qualifying session, J. Michael Kelly out one particular time. And Dave Villock in the 40, the Beacon Plumbing, has only been out one time in this qualifying session, so we'll look for both of those boats. Been a tough day so far for the U11, the J&Ds and Jamie Nielsen. So far, this T4 that Scott Rainey is so very excited about is coming out and being a challenge right out of the box. They took the boat to the test session in the Tri-Cities. They experienced electrical issues. The boat never got off the trailer and into the river, so they didn't get to run it there. They are so excited to get the boat in the water today and see what they've got, start analyzing and what they need to improve. They told me last night they hope to hang the boat over the water at 8:45 this morning and be ready when the course opened at 9. They did. The boat came out, and unfortunately things did not go well. Jamie was unable to complete a couple of laps. They towed the boat back to the pit area. The same happened his second time out. So far it's been difficult for the U11 J&Ds, Jamie Nielsen, and the Rainey family. We also are awaiting to see the U12, the Graham Trucking, and Andrew Tate. He has yet to make an appearance on the water in the qualifying session. We had him out earlier in the day during the test session. The boat looked very good. Andrew Tate, certainly somebody who has to be figured as in the mix when it comes to who might win the 2021 Southern Cup. While we await the arrival of our next boat, let's turn it back to the studio. Let's get some music going. I'll grab something cold to drink, and we'll be back as soon as we get the boats on the water. Hello again, race fans. Awaiting the arrival of our next H1 Unlimited on the water, we are told it will be the U40, the Beacon Plumbing hydroplane, U40, driven by Dave Villock. He will come out on the course for his second qualification run. In his first run today, he turned a fast lap of 156.475. He was and remains our third fastest qualifier, just a tick ahead of Jeff Bernard in the one, the Miss Home Street. So we are awaiting the arrival of Dave Villock on the race course. Gives us another opportunity here to briefly discuss the upcoming schedule for this afternoon, because it is going to get very busy. On my clock, it is 12:40 in the afternoon. And let's take a look at the schedule that I have here. Coming up at 1 o'clock, we have this qualifying session lasting until 1 o'clock, and then at 1 o'clock our opening ceremonies will take place. From 1:30 to 2:30, we have our Grand Prix America testing. We have the two Grand Prix boats in the pit area. They will come out and test, and at that same time slot, 1:30 to 2:30, we'll have the autograph session for our Powerboat National drivers. That autograph session will take place right behind the start-finish line tower. Come up to the start-finish line. There is a large red and white tent right behind that tower, right behind the main stage here, where we will give away the awards and trophies later in the day and the weekend. Right there, you'll find a large red and white tent. That's where the autograph session will take place. Then our Hydrocross Heat 1A will take place from 2:30 till 3. Those are the jet skis. Heat 1A happens at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, our H1 Unlimited hydroplanes will hit to the water for their Heat 1A. And at 3:30 till 4, Powerboat Nationals will have their Heat 1A of the tunnel boats. 4 o'clock will be H1 Unlimited Heat 1B. 4:30 till 5 o'clock will be the Powerboat Nationals second heat, Heat 1B. And we'll close out the day from 5 to 5:30 with our Hydrocross Jet Skis Heat 1B. So that's a quick look at the schedule. And also want to remind everybody that at 12:45 at the whole backstage theater, which I'm sure all of you know all about it, your local community theater, the whole backstage theater will have some special guests there who will be performing a few songs from their upcoming show, Schoolhouse Rock. That special event will take place at 12:45, 15 minutes in front of the opening ceremonies. It will happen at the Holback Theater. We have the schedule for the opening ceremonies that will happen at 1 o'clock, and I know there are some special events that will take place during those opening ceremonies. We will pass those along as soon as we have them, but I'm sure it will definitely have a patriotic flair to it with the events that have been pulled together for the 2021 Lake Guntersville Hydrofest and the race for the Southern Cup. So still waiting the arrival of the U40, Dave Villock. Still awaiting the arrival of the U40 and Dave Villock for his second run here during the qualification session. Well, if you're warm and you're sitting here and thinking, boy, it's kind of hot sitting here. I wish we could get another boat on the water. It could be worse. You could be sitting on the causeway down there in a car. I see the traffic is pretty much stopped down there right now. They're all coming across hoping that one of these H1 Unlimiteds will come out on the water and they'll get a good view down there in that lower corner. We want that too. Just awaiting the U40, Dave Villock and the Beacon Plumbing. Okay, Dave Villock has found his way out on the race course. You may have seen him come away from the dock. He went up the backstretch about 2/3, 3/4 of the way up there, shut the boat down. He was requested to do that by the officials because there was a hazard on the race course. We had some moving parts on the race course at that particular time. And just to make sure everything is 100% safe, they told Dave to knock it down. He shut the boat down. They gave him a green flag on the race course, which flies now. He fired it back up, and Dave Villock is on the clock here for his second run in the qualification session here. Dave is our third fastest qualifier so far, but he's getting a nice boat ride up the backstretch, running into a little bit of a breeze that was more than he did earlier in the day. And if you were here for his first run, you saw Dave pick up that right side sponson on the front straightaway. We'll see what his boat ride looks like this time. Dave is a master of boat setup. He's going to come down and put his first lap in the books right here. Dave Villock driving a U40, the Beacon Plumbing for Kelly and Sharon Stockland. Look at him pick the right sponson. It's barely touching the water. That is flying an unlimited hydroplane. You can't get a boat ride much better than that. He is right on the edge. So 154.4 for Dave Villock on his first of 3 times around the race course here. Dave's up at the top end of the race course already. Now you see that big wall of water come off the left side trailing edge. The sponson there with the skid fin hangs down in the water. Dave lets it slide out a little bit longer. That will allow him to carry more speed through the corner, but it also means he's got to travel a bigger course. Will it work in his favor as he walks it back and forth? Dave Villock driving a 40, the Beacon Plumbing. He is zipping down into that first turn. We'll have a speed here on lap 2 momentarily. It is a 156.728. That is an improvement over his speed in the first session. Now he can really leg it out here and see if he can lay down one more hot lap. He's halfway up the backstretch. Dave's got this boat set up beautifully right now. Top end of the race course, entrance pin. Big wall of water off that skid fin. There's the apex buoy. That's halfway through the corner. Dave goes out wide again this time. He can use any part of the race course he wants. Now, if you're on the front straightaway, look underneath that boat. You can see all that air underneath that hydroplane. That means he's got it up and really running. And he just picks up the right side of that boat and flies it across start-finish line. So he turned it at 157.844 miles an hour. 157.844 miles an hour. I believe that will make him now our second fastest qualifier. Fast time of the day so far belongs to Corey Peabody in the Pinnacle Peak Consulting of 158. So a good run for Dave Villock there, 157.8 miles per hour.
Good weekend. Great weekend. You need me?
Okay, out on the race course right now, we have the bright red trimmed in black and silver, the U-12, the Graham Trucking hydroplane, driven by Andrew Tate out of Walled Lake, Michigan. Andrew Tate knows what it takes to win here on Lake Guntersville, being victorious here in a different boat in 2018. Walking it back and forth on the sponsons as he runs hard down into the lower corner.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, Andrew getting a nice run up the backstretch. That boat, you will remember it out here in 2019. Second place finish here on Lake Guntersville with J. Michael Kelly behind the wheel. Kelly took a third in the 2018 race for the Southern Cup. Kelly looks to move up this time and get the win. He got a third place in 2018, a second place in 2019. He will look for a first place here in 2021, but right now it is all about Andrew Tate driving Kelly's former boat, the 12. It is the Graham Trucking. A lot of work done on that boat during the off season. Again, walking it across the water. Andrew can fly the boat as good as anybody. Turn that lap at 153.641. 153.641. Reminding everybody that is an average speed on the lap. It's based on the amount of elapsed time it takes him to go and travel 2.5 miles. But he's actually traveling further than 2.5 miles because we measure that 2.5 miles at the top of the buoy row. But a solid time for Andrew Tate. His fast lap earlier in the day, I don't have it in front of me from his test session, but this is his first qualifying run. So he is now officially qualified here for the 2021 Guntersville Lake Hydrofest, the race for the Southern Cup. Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, a fourth generation boat racer out of Michigan. Turned that lap at 154.7 miles an hour. Andrew Tate holds the distinction of being the only unlimited hydroplane driver to have his name on the American Powerboat Association Gold Cup, along with that of his father. Mark Tate claimed a couple of Gold Cups in the 90s. Andrew claimed his in 2018. The only father-son duo to have done it. This is a very accomplished driver. He can handle his race boat, and he just loves to do so. Nice corner at the top end for Andrew. Checkered flag flies. We'll see if that corner will save him a little bit of time. I was looking for his test session time. Want to thank the H1 officials who heard me say that, came down with a piece of paper and a 156 that he did in testing, but that does not count for qualifying. So his third lap on this qualification attempt was 156.431. So that was his fastest of the 3 laps. My assistant will pull out her abacus, and she will start looking at all those numbers and decide who's on the top of the list and who's second and who's third. But I think our Corey Peabody is still sitting atop the qualifying ladder in the 9, but things can change. I think the U1 is in the water. So Jeff Bernard will come out for his third run. Okay. Out on the race course now, we have the U1. The Goodman Real Estate presents Miss Home Street. The Goodman Real Estate presents U1 the Miss Home Street. Jeff Bernard behind the wheel. And we don't have to worry about it being Jeff Bernard or Jimmy Shane because Jimmy Shane is standing right in front of us. So can't be two places at once. Here comes Jeffy. Jeff Bernard, boat owned by the citizens of Madison, Indiana. Jeff Bernard out of Covington, Washington, which I say that like everybody knows exactly where Covington, Washington is. It's just a little bit south and east of Seattle. It's in the Pacific Northwest. Jeff, as I said before, a longtime boat racer. He is a fourth generation boat racer, and oh my goodness, has he got a family history of boat racing. If we start going through all of the names in his family, you would recognize all of them, as he has backed off the throttle as he got up toward the top end of the race course, not running too real hard. His fast lap so far today was in the second session. His third lap was 156.052 miles an hour. I don't think he's going to get there in this one. But here comes Jeffy down to put one in the books, and he will start lap 2. So he turned that lap at 147.928, 147.928. You saw him pull his foot about 2/3 of the way up the backstretch. You saw him pull his foot off the accelerator, and the boat kind of slowed down. The rooster tail dropped a little bit. Jeff doesn't seem to be running that hard this time either. But he had the opportunity to come out here and run 3 more laps. This may be something they're using possibly more as a test session than a run real hard and qualify, because we are going to go racing here this afternoon, and these guys, especially this particular craft that did not get an opportunity to test at the test session in the Tri-Cities. So Jeff Bernard still trying to figure this boat out, make sure he's got it. Jeff Bernard with 1 more lap to go. Turn that lap at 146.6 miles an hour, 146.6. And I say this all the time when we go unlimited hydroplane racing, but even though the boat goes out and runs slower laps, that doesn't mean they didn't learn anything. If they tried a new combination, maybe what they learned is, well, that's not the good one. The other one was better. But you don't know until you go out and actually try. See if Jeff wants to tighten up the corner a little bit up here. He likes to drive hard. He likes to drive on the inside. Slip that out to about, lane number 2. Started to get close to lane 3. A lane is defined as 30 feet wide. And Jeff Bernard picks up the checkered flag. In the U1, the Goodman Real Estate presents Miss Home Street. We'll get a speed on that 3rd lap, but I don't think he's going to get close to where he was prior. It was 149.3, 149.3 for Jeff Bernard. And I think that's going to put the capper on. That's going to put the capper on our qualifying session here for our H1 Unlimiteds. We'll be getting with the officials here shortly, discussing how things are going to look when it comes time to go racing. We are getting ready for our opening ceremonies. That would be the ceremonies that started at 1 o'clock. After 1, that will take place at the main stadium, which is right behind the flying tower.
Oh, darn, I got it all wet.
We're calling it a tower.
Shucks. Got it all wet.
That's where the opening ceremony is.
Yeah.
I had to break out.